Page 14, theme from Overture to the Marriage of Figaro by Mozart. It's an opera. Very famous melody. 4/4 time, 2 sharps in the key signature. At the top of the page, they're talking a little bit about changing fingers on a note. It's called finger substitutions. There's other names for it. I won't get, depends on what country you're from. The idea is you can play a note with most any finger. And once you play it, while holding it down, you can put some other finger on it. You can change the finger. So I can go from here, I can go to the thumb, or 3rd finger, or 4th finger, or 5th finger, or any finger to any finger, who knows. So we can play it legato or connected with the fingers. And I do this a lot in piano because I want to feel the melody, I want to feel the keyboard, and finger substitutions allow me to do that. So I'm going to take this one hand at a time. I don't know about their fingering. I want to talk about the fingering here, but starting out with 3rd finger here. And remember, we have a C sharp and an F sharp, so the positions to start is really here. With these, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now bring the 3rd finger down to the C sharp. So the reason is we have an A coming up, and it's out of position here. So we just bring this finger. Now we can get it up to these A's, and the triplet, the last measure of the first line. 1 and 2 and 3, rest. So those 4 notes, the triplet notes and the F sharp afterward, are all even. They're all played together. Some people try and disconnect the triplet from the next note. Don't. Just connect it all together. So that measure 1 and rest, and then up here, just move up a little bit. 2, 3, reach down. Now they're saying 3, 5 here. This is the 2nd line, 3rd measure. You play it with 3rd finger and put the 5th finger on it while holding it down. It's a little awkward, but it's doable. And then that's nice. But in this case, we don't have to, you don't need a finger substitution here. All you gotta do is just reach down with 4th finger here. And you need to be able to do this with 4th finger anyway. They should be able to reach down at least 1 extra key. And if you do that, then you can reach the 2nd finger. And you don't have to finger substitute. See, I don't substitute fingers if I don't have to. It's like crossing the thumbs. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. I'll leave that up to you and your teacher, whether you do it. I mean, it's good practice if you want to do that. But you don't have to. You can use 4th finger instead. 3rd line, just lift up during the rest. At the end of the 2nd line, you come up. And you're playing what you played on the 1st line, but you're an octave higher. Now, keep in mind that when you get to the last measure, the 1st line or the 3rd line, either one, is 4th finger there. Because I was playing the A's with 5th finger. I don't like doing that. Well, we can do that too. But that last measure is 4th finger, because I need a little finger for the B. Like so. And then for the last line, that is a high, high D. It's 2 ledger lines above. 2 ledger lines is a C. So right above it is a D. 1, 2, 3, reach down. And then we have that same thing we had in the 2nd line. You can play it with 3rd and then put 5th finger on it, or just play it with 4th finger, and you don't have to. Whichever. In the left hand we have the broken chords. We have the D chord in the 1st measure, and it's just a 1, 2, 4. Now, 2nd line, look out. We need 2nd finger on the half note A because we have the G and the B coming, and this will prepare. So it's instead of thumb, just reach up. And now we're here. We can connect those. And then you come down, crunch up, rest. During the rest, you move up because you notice you get a treble clef in the bottom staff. So we're basically going to play the same thing again, but an octave higher. So you just lift up here, and you're up here in treble clef. This sometimes causes me problems because I'm so used to reading bass clef for the left hand. And then when it's treble clef, it messes me up. I keep thinking it's bass clef. I have to fight that. And when you get down to the last line, again, it's second finger on the A because we got the GB here. And then that next measure, the 2 ledger lines below a treble clef is an A, remember, because 1 ledger line is a C and 2 is an A, so it's here. Rest, and they got a 2-1. You can do, if you have fat fingers, you can do a 2-3 if you need to. Whatever. Now, put the hands together slowly, and right now we're going to connect everything except for the rest, of course. Both hands come up. Now, a couple of things here. I said connect everything but the rest. Well, in the left hand, you can't really connect that unless you got really big hands. You got to lift up. That's fine. Lift up and move. Then at the end of the second line, both hands have to go an octave up. So instead of here, you're going to be here. That's kind of tricky to move both hands at the same time. What you can do if you want is very quickly, one hand at a time. So it's like here. As you lift up, get that right hand where it goes. That's your target here. And then right after you get that, get the left hand. So it's here. It happens rather quickly. Or you can try doing it at the same time. Good luck. But that last measure, the second line, rest. So forth. So you play it all together. Now when you speed it up, you probably may not have time to move the hands like that. You pretty much have to move it at the same time, so you may have to practice that move from where you are to where you want to be. You may have to practice that. We try and be as accurate as we can according to what's written here. This is an arrangement, so okay. If you look at the second line, third measure, you're here. Right there, you have a half note and a C sharp. They sound together. If you look at the last line and the next to the last measure, it's the same idea, an octave higher. But there, the C sharp's by itself. The left hand has a rest. Make sure you play the rest. That is, be quiet in the left hand. So don't play those 2 measures the same rhythm. They're not the same rhythm. I mean, it's like the last measure of the second line and the last measure of the last line. You have a rest at the end of the second line. Rest. But in the last line, it's 4 beats long. 1, 2, 3, 4, off. And then you come off at the end of the 4th beat. So make sure those 2 measures are played accurately too. So watch out on that stuff. Then we can add in the slurring. In the left hand, they've got you slurring. I disagree. I suggest you connect the left hand all the way through as best you can, except for the rest. The right hand, you can slur it. Of course, with the rest, you have to lift up. Isn't it really convenient that they give you a rest at the end of the first 2 lines because you're at the end of a phrase. However, when you get to the end of the 3rd line, they don't give you a rest. Isn't that interesting? Go ahead and lift up anyway. Lift up, because it's a new phrase. It's like maybe an 8th rest or something. Then the dynamics. Well, it's loud at the beginning. Now this applies to the melody, which is the right hand. Keep the left hand in the background. So it's whatever you think loud is. Not really super loud, just loud. And the left hand is maybe a moderately soft. Then you get to the 3rd line, you're going to echo all that. You're going to play it again, except it's an octave higher, and it's soft now. That means the left hand is very soft. And then you get to the last line, you're going to start as soft, and by the 3rd measure, you're going to be loud. Well, let's figure it out. You gotta plan it out. You start it soft, and by the time I get to the second measure, I'm medium soft, and by the third beat, I'm medium loud. Now I'm loud. There, so it's... And there's a retardando at the end. I disagree with that. I would not retardando this. I think it's out of character for this piece. Just play it at the same speed. Now we talk about the speed. Presto, well, good luck with that. Presto is very fast. Presto is much faster than Allegro. They give you some metronome markings. It has to be your presto, not my presto or not their presto. It has to be accurate. And that's my impression of how fast it might go. So it's a here. So it's an idea. You have to work it up. Get rid of any hesitations and wrong notes. You can't have those. And hopefully you can play this pretty much without looking at the keyboard for the most part, except maybe when you have to move an octave higher. That thing, you gotta move, you gotta look for that, of course, but otherwise hopefully you don't have to look too much at the keyboard. You can focus more on the written music. Then on top of that, they've added pedal. Well, of course they did. They're adding pedal to everything. However, this is an orchestra piece, so it makes sense. It's nice overtones, a full tone and all that. The problem is we don't want to blur it up. If I pedal it the way they're showing, this is what it sounds like. Now I'm going to play this slowly for now. We'll just do it later. Here. If this sounds okay to you, go for it. I think it sounds terrible, but what do I know? See, I'm split on the pedaling here. This is a fast piece, and when you pedal something fast, you might pedal it differently than when you play it slow. So if I pedal it the way I want to pedal it and play it slowly, it doesn't sound all that great, but when I speed it up, it's okay. And what I'm doing basically is I'm pedaling the first 2 beats or the 3 beats of a measure, and I'm not pedaling the last beat. Usually because the right hand is moving around, and I don't want to catch it all. So here, I just lift up on the F sharp. Here I lift it up on the second beat. So I want to hear that rest at the end of the first line. Here, so I lift the pedal up. Now in the second line, second measure, I can pedal the whole measure there. I got repeated B's. I want to connect them, so I have to pedal it. And the last measure, well, you can pedal it all if you want, or don't pedal a half note. It's loud at the end. If it were dying away, it would pedal it differently. It's loud, you can leave it down at the end. You'll have to decide on what you like to hear and how complicated you want to make the pedaling on how much you're going to pedal this. This is not a piano piece. This is an orchestra piece. So in the process of trying to give it overtones and all that, we're tending to blur it together a bit. Mozart is not a blurry composer. His music doesn't fit being blurry. Generally when Mozart is done, it has to be a very clean sound. It can have plenty of overtones, you can have pedal, but it needs to be a clean sound. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm going to leave out the pedal. I'll leave the pedaling up to you on however you want to do it. I'll give us 4 counts, and let's just try it together very slowly. 1, 2, ready, go. list.